Cool. Alrighty. Whew. Alright, so tonight I want to I want to share what I've learned about tracking my cycle, about what each week brings and what each hormone changes bring. And I think that the biggest thing that I've got out of doing this is being able to plan my life and make plans and schedule things in around my cycle. And this just brought so much freedom and removed so much shame as well. Shame's a huge one with the cycle. You know, you make a plan, not really knowing where you're at, and then you cancel it and you feel terrible. And it just, it's so empowering to know this information. So I'm really, really excited to share it. And okay, cool, thanks. If you have any questions like on needing to understand something that I've said so you can comprehend what I'm saying, feel free to ask questions. Otherwise, try and save it and I'll just let you know you will ask as many questions. Done. So yeah, if you haven't got a pen and paper, grab one because we're going to do a bit of yeah, is that okay? Cool. All right. Yeah, grab a pen and paper because I'm gonna draw a map of your cycle that you can start working on and adding to and changing, but we'll just get the skeleton of it done tonight. And also get your phones handy because if you don't have a tracking app, that's something I'm definitely going to recommend you download too. But before we start, let's tune into the body. Let's tune into our womb space. So just inviting you to shut down your eyes and just drawing your awareness down to your womb space. You might want to place your hands on your lower abdomen and just starting to bring all of your attention to this space. Starting to tune in to how it feels, the texture, color, starting to send your breath down into this space of creation. Making any sound on the out breath, to bringing life in on the in breath, bringing your life force down into your creative space, charging it up, filling it up, and just detoxifying it on your out breath. Making any sound, bringing any movement into this. Maybe your womb is feeling a bit depleted and needs energy, so really bringing in the energy in on that in breath. Maybe imagining a color or sparkles or something, whatever you feel to energize the space, and just really cleansing it on that out breath. Noticing any shifts that come, any changes as you do this. And just starting to observe any messages from this space, from your womb, your creative center. Maybe there's something your womb wants to bring to your attention. Maybe there's something it needs or just wants to tell you. Just observe and listen. Really acknowledge the messages you may get. And just taking a moment to really acknowledge this space, to really feel it, and really connect with it and let it know that you're here and you're listening. Maybe even trying to connect with your creativity more. Maybe you want to deepen your creativity. Just finding a way to deepen that connection. It can be with the breath. It can be making a commitment or thinking of an action you can take. Taking some more deep breaths into the space. When you're ready, slowly opening your eyes, coming back to the space. And if there's anything that you want to write down, feel free to do so. I'd just love to hear how everyone's feeling after that, a word or two in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I really feel like the womb is maybe the part of my body that is challenged most by our go, go, go attitude, hey? It's funny because it's so close to the solar plexus, which is kind of the go, go, go. Awesome. Oh, that's so good. Oh, okay. All right. So, our cycle. I want to just get right into it. I love talking about this. When I first started to learn this, I couldn't believe that this wasn't taught in schools. I was so almost frustrated and angry that all we're taught, I don't know about you, but all I was taught was that once a month you're going to bleed and you're going to have cramps and you're going to be crabby and here's a tampon or here's a pad, and it's just, there's so much more to the cycle. There's something happening every day. There's something changing in every moment. We're such cyclic beings, and men are too, but in a different way. We're almost so connected with the moon as well. So it's, yeah, it's so empowering to learn this. So I think what I'll actually start with is bringing up a picture of the cycle so you can get an idea of how it looks. Where are we? Alrighty, so I'm going to share my screen in a second. Desktop. Here we go. Sorry, first time using Zoom, yo, so bear with me. Where are we? Here we go. All right, can everyone see that? Has everyone got a nice little diagram? I just got like a thumbs up or a nod because I can't see the chat window now. Cool. All right. So everyone's cycle is going to be a little bit different. They say 28 days, they say 21 days. It's Sometimes my cycle's 33. It's not going to fit into this. You know, yours might be different. You might not have a cycle at the moment, and that's totally okay too. So if you want to get your paper, you can almost start drawing this up. The most important thing to draw is the circle, I find, and the cross, like the two lines here. I can totally share this image with you later, so don't worry about that if you don't want to draw this up. But, you know, you may know this already. Day 1, you know, to day 5 roughly is when we start bleeding. And it is. It's such a time to be quiet and to go slow and go inward. But some months I actually found myself quite energized. Everyone's different, but it is a really important time to slow down, because your hormones are really, they're all at their lowest. All the hormones that change us, that make you feel bubbly at one time in the month, that make you feel, you know, a little bit sad or anxious, they're super low. So it's almost like a come down, basically, that first week. And we know this week so well. It's spoken about so often. And it, you know, as I said, it can be called the winter or the death. I also love to use the elements. I love to break up these sections into elements as well. And I see this time as earth, the most grounded time, when we're closest to the earth. We're really in our primal state here. That's how I see it. Also, the crone is an archetype you can use here as well. And so drawing up this map can be really useful, because you might find that you'll be a little bit different at this time of the month. And it's really good to start tuning into your essence at this time of the month and writing that in, you know, and making your own little map. You might like to make little art in the middle and really like to make this your own. And if you don't have a period tracker app, I would highly suggest doing that. It's, I think, something that actually I noticed happen when I started using the period tracker was that my cycle actually started to become really regular. My cycle became like 28, 29 days every month on like to the point. And so that, and also looking at the moon, which was really interesting. I started living out on a property, and I started looking at the moon every night, and I actually started to sync up with, my bleed started happening on the new moon, like every month, which is amazing. So if you got a cycle that's a little bit all over the place, going out and looking at the moon each night would highly recommend, even if it's for like a minute, just like, because I feel like there's this primal thing that our bodies, our womb knows, like when it sees the moon and sees where it's at, it kind of connects. The moon and the womb just connect. So go out, connect with the moon each night, see where it's at, see if you start to sync up. I've actually started to shift from bleeding on the new moon to the full moon, which has been hectic. My period's been stretched out. I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but yeah, we're connected with the moon. We so are. And yeah, so the next phase of the cycle is pre-ovulation. This is when our hormones are changing. There's quite a rapid change in hormones at this time of the month. You know, estrogen is increasing, and all the hormones that trigger an egg to be released increase at this time of the month. And our whole cycle is geared to create life. So things that you might find yourself in this time is, I get driven to the point of being so logical and so fast paced. I just want to get everything done. I don't really have time for a deep and meaningful conversation. Like if someone comes up and talks to me about something that's going on in their life, I will try and fix it really quickly. I'm like, I'll listen to you quickly, but then I'm going to like tell you what you need to do and let's move on to the next thing. So it's a great time for logical tasks. I love to schedule in like nerdy computer work. I love scheduling in physical tasks. If I don't have lots of stuff to do at this time of the month, I can actually get really bored and start overeating. I bite my nails a lot, and lots of like really like almost like anxious, nervous tasks. I've really got to yeah, fill in that time, but also balance that out and make sure I'm not burning myself out. So really take note of this part of the cycle. I've noticed the the further on I got, when I hit 27, my body started to want to have a baby. Like my body started to get to the point where I was like, all right, we're 27, we've got to have one soon. And this time of the month, I was also becoming quite attracted to people that I'm not normally attracted to, like really muscly, like guys who would go to the gym every day. It's not my the kind of person that I normally become attracted to. And I'd also find that I would not be attracted to my partners, which they probably got a bit confused, and so did I, because your body is looking for someone who is like physically and chemically attractive and like primed to make a child. So be careful about who you are attracted to in this time. I like to, when I meet someone that I am attracted to, I like to almost give myself a whole month to mull it over before I dive in, because you just don't know what's driving it sometimes as a woman. Like our hormones are just trying to find a mate sometimes. The next, I also see this, what do I use the elements for this one? Earth. I kind of see this as our fire. Yeah, definitely fire in terms of elements. You know, fiery, need I say more, really? And so between when you actually ovulate, that's the line here, so the second line down, and that's your hormones, or pretty much most of our hormones peak at that time, and they all trigger the release of an egg. And then once that egg is prime and in the middle, if it doesn't get fertilized, those hormones drop drastically. So you might notice that after you ovulate, you actually have like this huge come down. Some months I actually spend a whole day grieving the loss of that egg. You may not notice this. I didn't used to notice this. I kind of just kept gliding quite smoothly between pre-ovulation and ovulation to post-ovulation. But now I have this day of grieving because the egg wasn't fertilized. And it's quite intense, you know. I'll almost spend a day like just crying and just feeling into that loss. So if you get that day, just be super gentle with yourself. I like to tell myself that it's all okay. I'm going to have a baby one day. It's just not this month. You know, it's kind of crazy that we go through this every month. You know, it's like, you know, I kind of wish I could just pick 1 month a year to do this. It'd be great. And honestly, I think my favorite week of my cycle is the next one, because even though you have that drastic drop, your hormones kind of do level out a little bit, and it's the best week for being social. It's the best week to have, you know, heart-to-hearts with your friends. It's also really the best week if you've got any challenging conversations you need to have with a partner, a friend, a family member, especially. This is the best time to do it. Your compassion is at an all-time high. You're in your maiden kind of archetype here. I see this as the water element. You're flowing, you know, it's the best time to plan any social gatherings. So be careful in this week, because I get a bit trigger happy. I feel so good. I'm like, hey, let's hang out again next week. Let's do and plan all this stuff, forgetting that it's my premenstrual phase. So this is where we get into planning our cycle, you know, life around our cycle. Just need some water. I think this is where also we start to slow down a little bit. Like water, we start to flow a bit more. We've still got power, we've still got energy, so you can still do physical tasks. You've still got a good amount of logic, but it's really nicely balanced with, you know, our nurturing, our intuition. I feel like this week has such a beautiful balance of all that we are. And I usually just like to flow in this week. I do plan social things, but I kind of just flow and just see what comes. But definitely like hard conversations. This time of the month, you know, it's the week before, you might think it's a good time to have that conversation with your dad or your partner, but because you're really logical, you're probably not going to have the space to listen and hear that person out. So it's a really good week for holding space, that post-ovulation week. And yeah, the next week we also know quite well, the premenstrual phase. I look at it as the air, because we're really become at the whim of our hormones this week. Our progesterone really peaks at this time. It's a challenging time for a lot of people. I find that something I would also add to this, the ideas learning edgy inward, stillness and hunger, I would be adding reflective. Actually, I find I would get very reflective to the point of being really self-critical. And all through this week, I have to remind myself that this is a time where I'm going to be overly critical, and to just really be gentle with myself. Be really gentle with what comes up. Maybe just write it down and let it go, and don't put too much gravity to it. Maybe revisit it in your logical, in the pre-ovulation and post-ovulation. I wouldn't make too many decisions in this time. It would be a good time to just write it down and then come back to it, and just, super gentle. Just remind yourself that this is normal, it's natural. Even I feel like I look different at this time of the month. I don't know about you, but when I look in the mirror at this time of the month, I'm not happy with how I look. I'm picking at myself. And then I get to, pre-ovulation, post-ovulation, and I'm like, I'm looking fine. Like, I don't know what I was worried about, So just, I don't like to think of myself as being out of control, but our hormones do really control so much about us. But we can have intention and we can have awareness, so they don't rule us entirely. So I feel like there's a nice balance, to acknowledge the hormones, but not let them rule us by having this awareness. Yeah. Is there anything else I want to share on this? There always is. I'm not sure if anything's coming to me right now, though. I think what I find as well is that premenstrual, it does say wild woman, and it's a time when the unconscious mind is kind of more active. So there's times of the month. So during the pre-ovulation phase, your conscious mind is more active. Logic comes into play, and something that it's good for logical tasks. And then on the opposite spectrum, you've got premenstrual, that is a fantastic time for creative tasks. You might not feel like doing it, but premenstrual, if you sit down with something creative and just allow yourself to dive into it for a moment, you'll probably find that you just start flowing. It's when I make all my graphics for my courses and workshops. It's when I just feel like painting. I don't know, Louise, it might be the time where you feel like, crocheting the most. I don't know, but yeah, really planning in some projects that time is good. And it gives you your mind and your body something to do to sort of distract from being super self-critical. So just like it's good to plan logical tasks and physical tasks for pre-ovulation, it's equally as important to plan creative tasks and projects for premenstrual. And yeah, you might find you have deeper dreams at this time of the month. It's a great time to really, vision as well. Like, sort of if you are into crossing into the other realms, or, gathering information from your dream states, this can be a really good time to do that too, because you're actually going to have deeper sleeps at this time as well. And probably more vivid dreams. But hey, like I said, we're all different. So note these things down, start a little diary, or, make this map bigger so you can add to it. Notice the times when you having more vivid dreams, and start to, you can start to really use your cycle with intention, and each month is the same. I'm in my pre-ovulation phase, and today I felt so tired. I just want to nap like 3 times. So, you know, there's also so many other factors going on. You know, you might not get a good sleep one night. You know, the weather might be different. So still allow yourself that flexibility, you know, in your pre-ovulation phase. If you plan all this physical stuff and all these tasks, but you're not feeling it, just, you know, really allow yourself to surrender. Just because I did it a lot when I first started doing this. I really, I like pushed myself to do heaps of logical stuff in my pre-ovulation, even if I didn't have the energy to do it. So just remember, this isn't, you know, a perfect model. It's not going to be like this every month. Just, yeah, allow it to flow with what's alive for you. So yeah, I'll stop sharing that. And I feel like I could open up to questions. What's going on? Oh, hang on. There we go. Cool. Ah, yeah. Who's got questions? I want to answer questions. You can type it, or you can unmute yourself.
I was just wondering what your go-to period tracker app is.
I use Flow, but I think they've started charging, but I've managed to get it free somehow. I used to look at all the insights they give you, but honestly, all I do now is I just look at where I'm at. I think Flow, I don't know about any other ones. Yeah. Has anyone else tried any other ones? Clue. Okay, that's a free one. There you go, Sunny. I wish I could like integrate it just into my normal calendar, like my Google Calendar. I feel like that would be amazing, because when I go to plan something, I'm like looking at my Google Calendar to see if I've already got an appointment, and I'm going to my like period tracker. So like, if anyone knows of like a thing I can like add to my Google Calendar, please let me know, because that would just be brilliant. Mm. Mm. Has anyone got more questions? Okay, Lynn, cool. Hmm. Hmm. Just trying to think if I've got anything else I want to share. Usually I can talk for hours on this. Another really great thing that I've managed to do with my tracking my cycle is I don't use any hormone-based contraceptives anymore. And that's been incredible. And, you know, my partner knows exactly where I'm at in my cycle pretty much as I do. And we just use like barrier, we use condoms during like the roughly 6 days. So like Flow will give you, it'll start to predict your day of ovulation, and then it'll tell you like 3 days either side to like, you know, not have unprotected sex. Apparently sperm can live for like 3 to 5 days around your cervix and stuff. Didn't know that was true, but yeah, that's the thing. I think something that you might start to notice is when you're ovulating, like I know when I'm ovulating, it's really obvious. I'm like, it's not just that I get quiet. My libido does raise, but a really easy way to know if you're ovulating is if you've got quite a lot of lubrication, and it's quite thin, because it makes sense for it to be thin because it will help the sperm travel up into the uterus where it wants to go. So that can be a really good indicator. Archetypes for the second and fourth phase. That's a good question. I haven't really used archetypes much, actually. Second phase. I don't know. What do you think? Like, I feel like everyone would almost have their own as well, because like Lilith might work with premenstrual depending on what you like. I think everyone has a different like premenstrual archetype, and each month I'm totally different. Like some months I'm chill, some months I don't even realize that I'm premenstrual. Hey, like, and some months I really do. I'm trying to think what's quite an inward facing archetype. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be curious if you can think of any though that you think would fit. Maybe as you sort of start to take notice of it more, if you notice any that come through for you, let me know. I'd be curious. Has anyone got any more questions? Lynn, you usually have questions. I was expecting you to have heaps. Really? Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, I just wanted to hear your voice though. Priestess for PMS phase. Oh, interesting. Oh yeah. Yeah. And Kali for the second. Interesting. Because like creation and destruction, yeah. Could also Kali for the PMS as well. Like depending on, yeah. And then priestess can even fit for post-ovulation. I definitely feel like I'm in a priestess vibe when I'm post-ovulating. It almost feels like maiden and mother comes in for just when I'm ovulating or just before, and then I like dive into this really flowy priestess. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you could really customize that for yourself. Like I love to use the elements the most. And then a lot of people like to use the seasons, and just like whatever starts to resonate with you really. And then you could even do, weekly archetypal or little journeys for yourself to signify and ritualize each week. I think the thing that I've noticed is though there's a little change every day. There's no like definitive I'm in this week. We can section them all, but realistically each day you're shifting, each minute your hormones are shifting in some way, shape or form. And the thing that I find most challenging about the cycle is the transition between the two. There'll be a day where you're sort of halfway between your post-ovulation and your PMS, and I'm like almost fighting, like going into PMS and like resisting, and I've got to really just surrender, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'm shifting, I'm changing. And so there's just so much surrender in the cycle. I think, I don't know about everyone else, but surrender's just been a huge theme for me lately, just really to go with the flow. And we're about to jump into Scorpio season 2, so that's water, so it's going to be interesting. All right. Well, maybe we wrap this up then. Does anyone have any last questions? Okay, cool. Well, feel free to send them my way anytime. I love talking about this so much. So much. I talk about it anytime, all the time. And yeah, feel free to start sort of like share this with people. Sometimes I introduce myself to someone new, and in the first few sentences, like they already know where I'm at in my cycle. I'm just really about breaking the taboo around our cycles. I think I met a guy at a festival and told him I was ovulating like in that moment, and yeah, he was actually quite cool with it, which is pretty strange. I was really surprised. But yeah, break that taboo. Like, share this with your family and friends, because it's not just PMS and bleeding. There's so much more to this cycle, and it's such a beautiful thing. And I actually want to share this with people who don't actually have a physical womb, because my partner gets so much out of knowing where I'm at, and it also helps him talk to other people with a cycle as well, and he really takes that into account, and he's got so much more compassion now. And then men have a cycle as well, and it's just, yeah, it's interesting. Actually, the male cycle is dependent on the last time he ejaculated. Would you believe it? Which is really interesting. I found this out the other day. So once a man ejaculates, he's in winter. He's in it's like his menstrual, and every guy will be different depending on how long he needs to rest and recuperate. And then that cycle basically continues until he ejaculates again. So it could last, it's however long that is. And it's all based on testosterone. Like, so the testosterone builds and builds and builds up into the point of ejaculation, and then it drops off significantly post ejaculation. And it's like basically the testosterone is just building again. Yeah, it's crazy how much this is not known. And I really want to make this known. I would love to do this kind of workshop in schools, or with, I would love to have known this when I was younger. So yeah. There's a really amazing book called The Optimized Woman. I learned a lot about this from that book. I would recommend it if you want to go a little bit deeper into it. It also has like prompts to do like every single day to notice how you're going. You don't have to do that, but the book has got a lot of information about all this stuff and how to really plan your life with your cycle. But like I said, take it with a grain of salt, because after I read that book, I started to like live my life by it, and it actually got almost a bit stressful because I wasn't surrendering to all the other factors that come into play when weather, how you sleep, your diet is a huge one. Like, so yeah, get to know your unique cycle, because it really is, everyone's cycle is totally unique, and you'll fit into this in some way, shape or form. But yeah, learning what yours is like going to be the beauty in this. And yeah, I'd love to hear how you'll go with it, if you want to share with me as you go. So yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. It was really, really fun. Yeah, cool. And I'll upload this recording to the event. Feel free to share that with anyone that you think would resonate with this. And I'll share the image as well. So if you want to have another look at it, you can. Yeah. All right. All right. Much love. Bye.